All right. Thank you all for joining our wellness webinar. We're going to give people, I think, about 2 more minutes, just in case we have any stragglers hanging out trying to get in. There is live transcript turned on. It's the auto transcript, so I don't promise that it's perfect, but it should help if you need some audio accommodations. Yep, and we'll get started here in just another minute. All right, it's 5:02. Let's get rolling with things. Welcome everyone to this wellness webinar presented by Sportable. My name is Caitlin Berry. I'm the Health and Wellness Outcomes Manager for Sportable. Sportable is a nonprofit located in Richmond, Virginia that provides adaptive sports as well as wellness opportunities for individuals who have physical disabilities and visual impairments. Sportable has had the privilege to get to know our presenter tonight, Emily Kramer Throckmorton. I think I said that right. Yeah, you did. She's helped, she has trained some of the athletes that do our programs, as well as been to our RVA Adaptive Sports Festival as a vendor there and does some amazing work in adaptive fitness. And so we wanted to give her the opportunity to share more about functional fitness for adaptive athletes. There's one more person joining. A few housekeeping things. I ask that you just keep yourself muted throughout the presentation. If you have any questions, you can throw them into the chat and I will help moderate questions at the end. Emily plans to leave some time at the end to answer questions that individuals might have. And this presentation is being recorded so that people who registered but could not attend tonight can still view the presentation. So it is up to you if you want your camera on or off. Know that because it's being recorded, your likeness could be recorded, though the last time we did this, it just showed the presenter. So just a FYI there. And with that, I will go ahead and introduce our presenter. So tonight we have Emily Kramer Throckmorton coming to us from Virginia Beach, Virginia. She is the CEO and head strength and conditioning coach at Kaizen Athletics. Kaizen Athletics provides all-inclusive training for individuals with long-term physical or traumatic impairments, both visible and invisible, through movement and community. They make fitness accessible and inclusive for everyone, regardless of ability. And it's their honor to serve wounded warriors and veterans, first responders, law enforcement officers, and their entire adaptive community. Tuition is 100% donation based, and they are a nonprofit. And Emily has a variety of certifications related to fitness and nutrition and wellness. And so I'll let her share anything that I missed. But Emily, it is our pleasure to host you tonight and to hear more from you on adaptive functional fitness for adaptive athletes.
Thank you for that warm welcome. I appreciate it so much. And good evening, everyone. And I just want to say welcome to my first ever webinar collaborated with Sportable. It is truly an honor to be here tonight. I have, like Caitlin had mentioned, I have had the privilege of working with Sportable in the past. And I also currently work with a handful of their adaptive athletes. It is truly an honor to be here tonight to educate and hopefully empower you all. Please be sure to check out their organization and how they can make sports accessible for individuals with physical disabilities and visual impairments year-round. So whether you are an adaptive athlete joining us tonight, a coach, or a volunteer tuning in tonight, I hope you guys get a chance to take a lot away from this webinar. As Caitlin mentioned, my name is Emily Kramer Throckmorton. I am the owner and head coach of Kaizen Athletics. Kaizen Athletics is a functional fitness studio located in Virginia Beach, Virginia. This evening, you will be learning a lot about what functional fitness actually means and how it applies to each of us. So during this webinar, if you guys have any questions along the way, we will have time afterwards for a quick Q&A, or you guys can email me later. And on my very last slide of the presentation, I will be adding my email so that you guys will have a chance to reach out. All right, so a little history about myself. I have coached thousands of hours working with athletes of all backgrounds, all fitness levels, all with current or maybe past injuries or impairments. I pride myself in being able to modify, scale, adapt, and safely put any athlete through any workout. My background as a kid was a lot of playing sports. My parents pretty much put me in every sport there was, and I wanted to be in the gym all the time. So I became a strength and conditioning coach when I was in high school, and I started coaching for functional fitness gyms when I was in my 20s. Most of my education is going to be through the functional fitness space. A few years back, I actually started my adaptive and inclusive coaching when I got certified through ATA. And for those that are unfamiliar with this, this is called the Adaptive Training Academy. And it's a great certification that I'll speak about a little bit at the end. My passion for the adaptive population started when I had the privilege of working out with a handful of elite wounded warriors. And basically, they were doing the exact same workout as me. They were doing box jumps next to me with prosthetics on. They were doing deadlifts next to me, and a gentleman had a hook strapped around his shoulder due to an upper extremity loss. And I was actually running next to an individual that was an amputee, and he had a running blade on. I was so blown away by this. And then I thought to myself that we needed a gym that provided training for the adaptive population. So in 2018, I started our nonprofit organization inside our gym, which is called Kaizen Adaptive Training. And this program is geared towards individuals with long-term physical or traumatic impairments. So a little bit about Kaizen Adaptive Training. We are an all-inclusive training gym that provides functional fitness classes 3 times a week right now. That might grow to 5 days a week, but right now we're at 3. And this is for individuals with long-term physical or traumatic impairments. And the way we structure our class is we have up to 5 athletes so that we are able to give that one-on-one coaching, but in a small group atmosphere. And as I mentioned before, our program is 100% donation-based, which means that we charge nothing for these athletes. We have this program completely free for them. Our community is so supportive, and they provide constant donations that we put towards the program to ensure that these athletes get free classes, as well as extra equipment and modalities they may need. And I'm also going to be talking about a wonderful website that we go through for our adaptive equipment, and I'll be sure to talk about that at the end as well. But it is through an organization called Equip Products. And if you've never heard of it before, they have fantastic equipment that really help these athletes do functional fitness. So please be sure to take a look at that at the very end. All right, the reason you guys are all here tonight is to learn more about functional fitness and what it means for you and I. So functional fitness movements are going to mimic ADLs outside of the gym. They are natural movements that make your activities of daily living possible. So if you see the term ADLs, just know that means activities of daily living. And the main goal of functional fitness is to help each of you regain your strength, mobility, and independence. That's what we all want, ultimately. So the first functional fitness movement I want to talk about is the deadlift. The deadlift is going to mimic you picking something up off the floor. So whether that's picking up a box, your groceries, your children, you name it. We are here to teach our athletes how to properly hip hinge in order to pick something up and not hurt themselves. This will help you obtain the skill you need in order to have that core stability. And most of our spinal cord injury athletes that come in, they talk about how they need to strengthen their core. That is pretty much every single athlete that comes through. Deadlifts are the first thing we want to teach somebody. So as you notice right here, we have one of our adaptive athletes, Sierra, working on her deadlift. And basically with this, you're strengthening that core, which will lead to reduced back pain, improved balance, better flexion and extension and rotation of your trunk. And obviously being able to pick something off the floor is a vital part of living an independent life so that you don't have to ask somebody to do it for you. So here in this picture, you have Sierra. She is a gunshot victim survivor, and she is one of our spinal cord injury athletes, and she is doing a phenomenal job with deadlifts here in this picture. And as you notice, we placed bumper plates next to her on the floor to kind of help reduce her range of motion. And this is basically until she gets the strength to go all the way down to the floor, because that is the goal, to have that full range of motion so she can touch the floor. But if you guys are looking for a great way to kind of start this movement, add those bumper plates to the side, and that's really going to help you guys reduce that range of motion so that you're able to get in that good position with a nice neutral spine. So that's one of my favorite things to teach when we start off. The next thing that I love to coach is going to be the air squat. And basically the squat mimics an individual getting in and out of a chair or transferring on and off a toilet, which may be simple for the able-bodied athlete, but for our adaptive athletes, this can be very challenging. And ultimately you can lose your independence if you are unable to do these small tasks. So as you can see in this picture, we have an adaptive athlete working on his air squat. This is actually Johnny and his dog Eclipse, and they were one of my very first adaptive athletes. He was a spinal cord injury survivor, and we had him doing squats and box step-ups. And at one point of his life, he was told he would never be able to walk again. So it's pretty amazing to watch these individuals being able to do these independent things on their all by themselves. As you can see in this picture as well, you'll notice that I have him holding on to a pull-up rig. So if you guys are learning how to do an air squat for the first time, this is a great way to help keep your spine upright. We also put a ball underneath our athletes so that they can feel if they have hit full depth. And right here, you can see that he is, his hips are below parallel, which is what we're looking for. But if that's a little too extreme, you can always put a chair or a bench that something's a little bit higher, and you can kind of reduce that range of motion. So that way you can slowly build an athlete up to safely hitting full depth. A great way to kind of teach our seated athletes, and a way that we can build up their upper strength, is to help them improve their transfers. And the way we kind of help them improve their transfers is by doing dips off of their chair. And that's a great way to increase their upper body strength so that they're able to independently do that on their own. So that's going to be your air squat. Next, another example is going to be the power clean. The power clean is a fantastic movement to teach. And basically these are done with med balls, dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells, you name it. This movement is going to mimic you getting something off the floor to a table, or from the seated position to the table. And here you can see one of our adaptive athletes. This is Ron. He has a fantastic front rack position too, if you can notice. Great flexibility and mobility, but he is working on his hang power cleans in this position with a light set of kettlebells. So if you're new to this movement, always start very, very low in your weight. Power cleans are a great way to enhance your core stability, your balance, and your coordination. All right, so next we have the press. Another great exercise that I love to teach because of the functionality of it. This is going to mimic you guys putting something away. So putting something into a cabinet or into a shelf. And this can also be trained with med balls, sandbags, dumbbells, kettlebells, or barbells. But we really enjoy training with unstable loads like this sandbag here that Anthony has. One of our adaptive athletes that he also does wheelchair basketball on the side as well. So we love that he comes in to see us for strength and conditioning as well. But having that unstable load is so fantastic because it's actually a real life situation. In real life, you're probably not going to just have a fixed object that you're moving. So that's why we love having something unstable, because it's a great way to work on, yet again, that core stability that we're looking for. And also with the pressing overhead, it's a great way to work on your shoulder strength and as well as your shoulder health, because the less that you use it, unfortunately, the worse it's going to get. So just remember, movement is medicine for everything that you do. All right, so let's classify what an adaptive athlete looks like. I want to basically read what the actual term is for an adaptive athlete. An adaptive athlete is a term which includes people with neurological disorders, strokes. It's going to be amputees, wheelchair users, and other types of long-term injuries that leave people unable to compete in able-bodied versions of a sport. And that's why we love working with Sportable. And that's why they're so great, because they make sports accessible to everyone, regardless of their abilities. And actually, if you look in this photo, you'll see one of our adaptive athletes, Casey, and it's incredible. Casey actually drives all the way from Williamsburg to Virginia Beach, which is roughly, and we have class from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. So she has to leave at like noon in order to beat the traffic to come to see us. So she drives, an hour and a half or plus in order to beat the traffic. And then she also drives to Richmond on the other days to be part of Sportable's rowing team. So I love that our athletes get a little bit of both. And it's so important that we're able to help her get stronger in order to be better at her sport. I've had a privilege of working with a variety of adaptive athletes. Right now, I'm working a lot with spinal cord injury survivors, gunshot victim survivors, stroke survivors. We have a handful of brain cancer survivors, amputees, and individuals with invisible wounds. And if you may not have heard that term before, it's going to be individuals that have suffered from TBIs, which is going to be traumatic brain injuries, or an individual that's maybe dealing with PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. But I truly pride myself in being able to work with these athletes. And I hope by the end of the webinar, maybe you feel more confident going into the gym to work out, or maybe you feel more comfortable working with an adaptive athlete moving forward. Okay, so moving on. Here's a great graph here of the International Classification of Function. If you guys have never seen this before, this is basically a great way to identify if an athlete is a good fit for your training program. It kind of helps you understand them as a person. We also have an application process in place to ensure proper scope of practice. So before I go into anything with an individual, I always make sure it is within my scope of practice and that I am able to help them with whatever they have going on. We first discussed their body function and their structures. So we're talking about responsiveness, their movements they can or cannot do. We also talk to them about anything that they have physiologically. So any invisible wounds, like we spoke about before, TBI, PTSD, any behavioral issues, or any maybe intellectual differences, something that you can't see on the outside, but something that they may be dealing with on the inside. So we always want to dive into that and kind of see what's going on with them so we can understand and work with them a little bit better. They also let us know if they have any limb loss or any loss of body function. And with the loss of body function, we're talking about paralysis. And for a lot of our stroke survivors, that's what we'll get with them is one side is not functioning as well as the other. Maybe they have limited grip or they have limited range of motion, but ultimately we always try to work around that, or we just use adaptive equipment, which I'll show you here shortly, that helps an individual who's unable to, let's say, grip something. They have equipment out there that helps you grip onto plenty. So I'll show you guys that here in a second. We also have them discuss their goals and what they are currently able to do with or without assistance. We ask them if they participate in any other form of physical activity. Most of our adaptive athletes still attend some sort of physical therapy, occupational therapy, as well as brain therapy. But the great thing about our program is we work hand in hand with these PTs and OTs and other medical professionals. And it truly means a lot to us that these medical professionals trust us enough they will actually send their patients to us once they've been cleared from whatever they've been doing. And that really means a lot to us that we've kind of gained their trust. So the next step for these athletes is the screening and assessment process. We have them fill out a waiver and a PAR-Q, and this is going to go into full detail of an athlete's injury history, the medication list, the contraindications, some of the risks that they may be going into. If need be, we will ask for a doctor's note saying if they are able to exercise and if they have any sort of restrictions for participation. We then assess these athletes in a group setting. These workouts are relatively fast-paced, so we want to make sure that they are a good fit for that group atmosphere. We also assess their function and their mobility. We also go into it by assessing their independence level, and then we discuss their goals. If they are a good fit for this small group class, we will then sign them up on our scheduling app where they can book classes each week. Okay. All right. So we absolutely encourage each of you guys to strive for 3 days a week of strength and conditioning, with the idea that on the other days, you would find another form of monostructural activity. And what that means is basically you could have a few different options here. You could go for a hike. You could go for a walk. You could roll in your chair. You could go to yoga. You could go to the pool. You could pick up a sport. You could focus on meditation for the day. They even have wonderful businesses out there that do stretch therapy. But the main goal with this is to encourage each of you to get up and moving. I would say that 99% of our adaptive athletes, having the gym to go to in the middle of the day is giving them purpose for the day. It gets them up, it gets them ready to get out of the house, it gets them taking a shower. So anything that you choose to do for the day, just understand that just simply getting up and getting moving is truly medicine for your body. And I strongly believe that getting enough fresh air and sunshine can truly change your mood and set your day up for success. So if you add those 3 things together, the movement, the sunshine, the fresh air, that can do so much for not just your physical health, but also your mental health, which we'll go into here shortly as well, because your mental health is definitely tied to your physical activity. So here we have a little bit of what a typical class structure would look like. This is, for me, I think consistency goes a very, very long way. And that being said, in your daily routine, if you have consistency, that is what builds habits. And that is going to be truly life-changing for each of you if you decide to make a habit out of that. So here's a list of what a good hour-long workout would look like for us. Each group class or each training session that either you do or you go to should have a similar layout. But basically, you want to start each session with a 15 to 20-minute warm-up, which includes a lot of shoulder and hip mobility work. We spend quite a bit of time with that. We also spend a lot of time doing dynamic warm-ups. And that basically means that when you're doing these warm-ups, you should be actively moving. So we don't want to be stagnant when you're first warming up before your workout. You want to think about actively moving. We also do a lot of soft tissue work. And if you guys are unfamiliar of what this would look like, that means, either that's rolling out on like a hard PVC pipe, or we have lacrosse balls that we stick into our athletes' shoulders or their hips. And basically, we're just trying to open up that area for them, especially for our seated athletes. They do a lot of being seated all day long. So getting them on the floor, getting a lacrosse ball on their back and kind of breaking up that soft tissue is going to be very, very critical for their long-term health and wellness. So after that, I go over the workout and I demo these movements. Once I've demoed these movements, I show our athletes ways they can adapt these movements and how they can modify and scale. Once I've gotten them to modify and scale them, I will then ask for them to demo it to me. So I need our athletes to be able to show me that they can move safely with this weight. Or without the weight. Either way, it's completely fine. But our workouts are always programmed for a specific desired stimulus and to hit a different energy system each day. So when you go into a workout, it is meant to increase your work capacity over the long haul. After the workout, we cool down and we always finish with static mobility work, which everyone should be doing daily. And if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, or we actually have a monthly newsletter as well, I put up mobility and flexibility exercises that you guys can incorporate into your daily routine. There's plenty out there, and I truly believe that everybody should be responsible for their own daily maintenance as much as you don't want to do it. It's got to be considered somewhat like brushing your teeth. You just have to be very, very diligent about doing it. All right. So here's a list of athletes that I currently work with. I believe that coaches should be prepared to work with any athlete that walks through the doors. Coming into the gym is already a barrier for most athletes, and especially our adaptive athletes. So we need to make sure that the space and the coaching is all inclusive and extremely welcoming. We had an adaptive athlete that was released from physical therapy, and she went to Planet Fitness, and this was before she knew of us. She went in there and she felt extremely anxious and upset. She was a spinal cord injury survivor, and all the equipment was, she was unable to access any of the equipment because they were all machines. And she felt like all the individuals working there, they did not know how to work with her because she was an adaptive athlete. So I think educating more people on how to work with individuals that come through your door is extremely important so that these athletes feel very warm and welcomed. And I love the fact that when these individuals come into our space, they have a sense of camaraderie. They're fist bumping each other. They're listening to music. They're sweating. They're giving each other encouragement. They're not just plugging in with their headphones and going in a corner and lifting. Like, this is all about building those relationships. So hopefully that you guys can find a space similar to that, or you guys can always come to us. All right. So when you're programming for yourself, for others, we want to be sure to keep in mind that we're striving to make ourselves or other people that you're working with well-rounded athletes. So if your goal is optimal physical competence, then these 10 physical skills that I've listed in this PowerPoint, they must be considered and developed daily. So I'm going to read these out for you all, but we would obviously want to improve your cardiovascular endurance as well as your respiratory endurance. We would want to increase your stamina. Obviously, increase your strength, because your strength is what's going to keep you out of the nursing home. Your ability to get yourself on and off the floor, that is your independence. So you have to have your strength in order to be independent. We would increase your flexibility, increase your power, increase your coordination, your agility, and obviously we always want to address your balance, because majority of people, when they fall due to being unable to balance themselves, they're going to hurt themselves tremendously. And then that's, again, another way you can lose your independence. So we want to build that balance, and then your accuracy as well. Now, once you have basically addressed most of these, you want to keep your movements in your workouts very, very simple. So we keep our movements in our workouts about 2 to 3, and we focus a lot on form. So you don't want to just have a bunch of different workouts and throw them all in there. You just want to have about 2 or 3 and work on them really well. So if you guys were developing some sort of workout, and if you received the sheet that I sent out to each of you, I put in a little sample workout up. It was only about 3 things that you guys would focus on. So you would either just focus on an air squat. Let's say an example of a workout would be 500-meter row, 10 air squats, 10 deadlifts. And you would do that, let's say 12 minutes, and you would just focus on those 3 things. And I will tell you that you will be working on all of those physical skills right there just by doing those 3 things. And obviously we want you guys to become fitter and more independent. So we want you guys to try to avoid exercise machines at all costs. They basically put our bodies in unnatural positions, and they take your joints in very dangerous ranges of motions. So instead, when you guys are developing your workouts, we want you guys to really focus on body weight. And one of my favorite functional movements to actually teach is either a hand release push-up or the burpee. And basically this is going to mimic you getting up and on the floor, getting off. And those are just really, really important to learn. They're very simple, yet very, very effective. And I'm going to show you those here in a very short moment. So here I have a little tiny video I put together of one of our seated athletes, Casey, doing some of the same movements as myself. It is a YouTube video, so I'm just going to kind of click through and go straight to the portion, and bear with me as we try to get this situated. Let's see if you guys can see this all right. That's not her. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
you can hear
we
me
can
okay?
hear you.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. All right, let's skip this ad and I'm going to go straight to the portion. So you're going to be able to see Casey in action here. She's going to be working out next to me. So this is really cool to kind of see her in action. So this is her doing a hand release push-up right next to me. We're doing the exact same motion, same movement, just looks a little different. Here she's doing a strict press from the seated position, a great way to build that upper body strength. And here she's doing the ski erg next to me. That's a great way to build up your cardiorespiratory endurance. And here we're doing kettlebell swings right next to each other as well. And this is a great way for you guys to build up that core stability as well. And this is the bike, everyone's favorite, if you guys have ever had a chance. So there's a little tidbit of her working out next to me. And then I'll go back. Okay, you guys can see that okay? Good. All right. It's pretty incredible though. So if you guys ever get a chance, please be sure to head over to our Instagram or Facebook. And I put up videos of them daily working out. And so if you guys need some ideas of things you can do from either at home or when you go into a gym, please be sure to follow us and you get some great ideas from our athletes. All right, stand by. There we go. Okay. All right, so moving on, I know there are a lot of barriers when it comes to athletes going to the gym. The great thing about functional fitness is you don't need a bunch of fancy equipment. You can do so much simply with a pair of dumbbells or just with your body weight. And I know a lot of athletes have barriers because of transportation, but as I spoke about before, if it means enough to you, you will make it work. We actually have an athlete that Ubers to us during the week. So like I said, the choice is yours. I also know that medical bills are very high for adaptive athletes. So that's why we will continue to remain donation based so that we don't have that financial barrier for individuals to worry about. We also know that maybe the support system or the psychological barriers that some individuals may have, just know that coming to a gym where you have an adaptive class, just know you will get the support from the coach. You'll get the support from other individuals that are working out with you as well. And I've seen that firsthand for a lot of individuals that may be going through a lot at home. They've created friendships and they actually reach out to each other outside of class. And once they've built that relationship, they feel very comfortable being able to share some things that they have going on. So I know that support system that we have at the gym, or hopefully you'll find at a facility, that actually goes a really long way. Let's see. Okay. So for coaches or volunteers, this slide is going to be a little bit more for you, but this is a great list of ways that you can make your gym more accessible and inclusive. We always want to be prepared for any incident or emergency that might occur. And obviously the safety of each of our athletes is the most important thing, and making an athlete feel comfortable. And the way that we can do that is to make sure that if you do have an employee, to make sure that they are first aid and CPR certified and that they know how to work an AED and that you have one in your facility, just in case anything were to happen. Obviously, making our athletes feel comfortable, especially our spinal cord injury athletes, making everything wheelchair accessible goes a very long way. Also, change of clothes in case of any incidents or accidents that happen. And same thing with any sort of first aid equipment that you may need. And then also we want to make sure that if there is an incident that occurs, that you always have an incident report on hand in case anything happens. So those are really important. Basically, if you're planning on starting your own gym with your own adaptive program, these are some things for you guys to keep into consideration. Okay, so at Kaizen Athletics, we take a very holistic approach to our athletes' health. So I'm going to briefly touch on the importance of each of the following. We're just going to kind of slightly dive into this because I truly believe that it's not just the exercise that goes into play when you guys are trying to improve your health and wellness. There's a lot of other things that are in that umbrella as well. So we're going to briefly touch on nutrition, hydration, sleep, mindset, stress management, social impact, and how you can do these things very consistently. Because what this all comes down to is how you can be very consistent over the long haul. So when it comes to nutrition, we preach consistently that your consistency is what gets you results. So we should be focusing on eating whole nutrient-dense foods that fuel our bodies for performance and optimal health. And this list should be very, very simple. So if you all just focus on eating meats, vegetables, fruits, nuts and seeds, eating healthy fats like avocados and olive oils, we also want to avoid processed foods at all costs and try to eliminate added sugars as well. And this goes for our able-bodied athletes, of course, but it goes a lot for adaptive athletes who have suffered trauma already. Basically, your body is working so hard to heal itself already. The food you put in your body is medicine. So if you guys kind of change the way you think about things, instead of, oh, I'm going to take my medication, I know I'll be fine, I can eat whatever I want, switch it to, how can I eat the best so that I feel the best? So that's just kind of a little tidbit on the on nutrition, but I truly believe that food is medicine. And I kind of listed here some ways that you can start your nutrition. A great way to do that is to start a food journal. So a lot of time when athletes come in, I say, hey, we're going to talk about your nutrition. They'll tell me, oh, I eat really well. And I said, okay, well, how about we start a food journal? And they start writing things down and share it with me. And they're like, oh, I had no idea that I eat graham crackers at every single meal. So a good place for each of you to start, if you're looking to start that journey, just start with a food journal. Just keep it really, really simple. Next, we're going to be talking about hydration. Hydrating on a cellular level is very, very important. It's making sure that we are providing the means for nutrients to travel to our organs, and it also helps us regulate our body temperature. So we wanted to encourage each of you to consume 1 ounce of water for every pound that you weigh. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you guys should be drinking about 150 ounces of water a day. But sometimes people get confused and they don't add any electrolytes. And we want to make sure that we're having our water, but we're also adding electrolytes to our water. That's very, very important. So we recommend that you add electrolytes as well as maybe a lemon to your water, because when you guys sweat during your workouts, you're actually sweating out sodium, potassium, and magnesium. And basically, we should be trying our best to replace these. You'll feel a lot better when you add those into your hydration. Trust me, just try. But we really want to avoid sugary fruit juices, especially sugary sports drinks. Those are really, really bad for us, and they actually don't hydrate you at all. So instead, you should try to incorporate these elements. And this is basically in a powder electrolyte that you guys can put into your water that is 0 sugar, but it has nothing but sodium, magnesium, and potassium in it. And that's going to help you guys hydrate properly. So if you want to know more about that product, just please be sure to reach out to me, and I'll give you some more information on their products. It's absolutely great. So it's very, very important to help you guys during your workouts, before your workouts, after your workouts. All right. So next, sleep. Sleep is crucial. We should be aiming for about 9 hours of sleep each night. And here's a great list on ways that you can help yourself fall asleep and truly stay asleep. This is a time our bodies are recovering from our workouts. So we want to make sure that we are doing just that. So you need to start by having a set schedule, and then you can start your sleep hygiene. And what I mean by sleep hygiene is when you guys get ready for bed, you should be trying to go to sleep with the sun and wake up with the sun. We have a lot of athletes that come in and they'll say, oh, I woke up, at 2 p.m., I've had nothing to drink, I've had nothing to eat, and then they're expected to go into a workout, which is not sustainable. So we want to teach better sleep hygiene so that you guys can prepare yourselves for your workout or for work or for being with your family, whatever it is. A great way for you guys to prepare yourself for bedtime is to limit your screen time. You guys can also use blue light glasses, and that's going to help if you are looking at the TV or if you're looking at your phone. That's going to help you guys. We also want to avoid caffeine after noon. Anything after that really disrupts your sleep, so try your best to avoid that at all costs. Another great way that you guys can sleep better at night is to make it dark and cold. If you guys don't have, let's say, blackout curtains, you can wear some sort of mask. And then we do suggest that you guys try to set the temperature to about 65 to 67 at night. And that's really going to help you all sleep a lot better. So if you guys give that a try, I promise you, you'll sleep a little bit better. Just some little tidbits. Next, I want to talk about mindset. I have seen the benefits of fitness and how this has helped people's mindsets. But basically what we want to focus on is the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. I have seen the benefits of the mental health part of this as well, especially for the adaptive community. So when our adaptive athletes come into their workout class, they are surrounded by other individuals in similar circumstances. And they are able to vent, they're able to discuss, they're able to ask for advice or give advice, they're able to talk about medications or struggles that they're having. It's a really beautiful thing to watch these friendships bloom here at the gym. And where I'm going with this is basically your mindset can change your life. Your mindset is what influences how you engage in the moment presented. If you have a growth mindset, which is the image on the left, it means you thrive on challenges and you believe that even if you're struggling with something, that you'll improve over time. But if you have a fixed mindset, which is over to the right, it means you avoid challenges and you give up quickly. Your mindset plays a huge role in your motivation, your resilience, and your achievement. And we definitely talk about that a lot in class. So here listed, I put a few things that can help you guys manage your stress. And the first thing is going to be you starting by, or you want to start by finding daily movement. Another great way to de-stress is to take cold showers. You can meditate and focus on your breath. The big thing here is focus on the things you can control. So getting to the gym can give you the social connection that you may be looking for. And it's also a great way to meet individuals with similar interests and goals. And going back to your meditation or breathing, we highly recommend that individuals, when you find yourself in a stressful situation, that you try box breathing. If you've never tried it before, it's basically in through the nose for 4, you hold at the top, and then you're out of the mouth for 4. And that's a great way to just kind of calm everything down and find a way to de-stress from whatever you have going on. Now, consistency is key. Whatever you choose to do, as far as your fitness and health goes, do it consistently. That's how habits are formed. So showing up for yourself and no one else. So forming a daily routine that makes you wake up with purpose and go to bed with satisfaction. You have to switch your mindset to this long-term, not short-term goals. And we promise you that you guys will make these huge progress. Just know that consistency equals habits. That's a really big one for us. And actually, if you were curious, Kaizen stands for continual progress in Japanese. And so that's how we got our name. So I have added a link here for continuing education if you wish to learn more about working with adaptive athletes. So that's going to be ata.fit. And they offer a great certification or just little tidbits on different movements that you can try for individuals with impairments. I've also attached this link, equipproducts.com, and that's going to be a link with all the adaptive equipment. And they are absolutely incredible. So all of our adaptive equipment that we have in the gym is through equip products. We also do a lot with active grips. And if you've never had or seen those before, they are fantastic for an athlete who has limited grip. Basically, you can strap their hand into any said piece of equipment. So we strap our athletes into barbells or dumbbells or a bike or whatever it is, and they're able to get that motion because of those active grips. So that's another great piece of equipment that I highly recommend you all get. And I can show you, or I can send you a link for that as well. So those are two great things for you guys to hold on to there. All right, so here I have attached my work email and all of our social media outlets. Please be sure to follow, share, subscribe, like all those things so that you guys can follow along. And I would love to see you on your fitness journey. This is a great way to kind of see other adaptive athletes moving. And it's also a great way for you guys to learn how to do certain movements. So thank you guys again. Thank you all. I wasn't able to see everybody on the screen, but thank you guys all so much for being part of this webinar tonight. I'm very passionate about this, and I hope you all learned a lot. And if you have more questions, we're going to either open up the floor here, or you guys can always email me at a later time. Thank you guys so much, though.
Thank you, Emily. That was great. I'm so impressed at the amount of content you're able to cover. It was just wonderful and so well put together. Thank you so much. We do have, about 15 minutes for questions. So if you have a question, you're welcome to take yourself off of mute and ask it, or you can put it in chat and I can read it out for Emily. But yeah, we'll open it up to questions.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Emily. This is Danica.
Hi.
Thank you. That's great. When you were talking about your process, you said that
I'm sorry, hold on one second. That was my dog.
oh.
You're okay. You're fine.
When you were talking about your process, you said the term PARQ.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so basically it's an extended waiver, I would say.
Okay.
But it's I apologize. My dog's losing it. Yeah, so it's an extended waiver. It's a great way for our athletes to basically write down their entire past history, whether that's injuries, whether that's medications, whether or not a doctor has allowed them to partake in said activity. It's just a great way to dive into it, but also for liability reasons, it's a great way for them to kind of sign off saying, I'm okay to be here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, if no one else is going to talk, I have another question.
Yes, ma'am. It's all you.
Okay. You had said that like thumbs down for gym equipment, but then Casey was doing the bike like that. So are you saying just, and you didn't say thumbs down, that's my term, but
it's okay.
But the thumbs down just for like the regular equipment, like going to the gym, but thumbs up for adaptive equipment. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so I like your question. So this is kind of how I feel about it. Everyone has a different opinion, but unfortunately, some of that stationary equipment that you would see maybe at the YMCA or a more like bigger gym, it's very hard for someone in a wheelchair to get into that set equipment. I'm not saying it's bad one way or another. I'm just saying it's probably not the most accessible for an adaptive athlete to get into. And I just don't think it's the most functional. So some of those machines, it's kind of the illusion like, oh, I'm working a muscle, but somebody might be able to tell me like, oh, I can do some sort of press on a machine, but then I get them on the floor and they can't push themselves up off the floor. So I don't think that those machines translate to your body, and ultimately our bodies are what we're moving. So I think it's important for us to train appropriately to our bodies. So if I can do a leg press on a machine at a bigger gym I can do it for 200 pounds, but I can barely do an air squat by myself, it's kind of defeating the purpose. So I think that's kind of where I'm going with it is more so working out to be better in your body, like thinking I'm the machine, you're the machine, and you move objects versus that object kind of moving you, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Emily, it looks like we have a question on the chat from Lisa. She asked, when you are doing the initial assessments, do you follow the ACSM guidelines in their PAR-Q?
Ooh, good question. I actually have like a PAR-Q that I use for my gym as a whole. So it's for my able-bodied athletes as well as for my adaptive athletes. But it is very thorough. But I would say as far as my guidelines go, they're the same for my able-bodied athletes as well. So there's not like a specific one just for my adaptive athletes. It's just my waiver. It's very thorough. It's about 5 pages long. So that PAR-Q is very detailed, but that's one of it's my own. Hopefully that answers it.
Emily, I want to bring up a question of, I know that there can be, and you mentioned this some, a lot of intimidation for an adaptive athlete entering a gym space, especially a space like Planet Fitness or the YMCA. At Sportable, all of our athletes do have Y memberships. And just thinking about, or you know, they might have Y, some athletes have YMCA, or not Ys, but gyms available to them at their apartment complex or at their neighborhood clubhouse or whatever. Are there any steps or strategies you might recommend for someone who is just getting into fitness, getting into it on their own, to help them know even where to start if they were to enter one of those gym environments? Beyond, I hear what you're saying of not using the circuit machines, just trying to go more with natural movements. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it would be great for athletes who are at home. So let's say they're at home and they haven't even taken the step of going to a gym yet. I think even having a light set of dumbbells at the house, I think that's a great start. You can do so much with that. I also think reaching out to professionals that work with adaptive athletes. So reaching out to a coach of some sort, whether that's through social media of some sort, and say, you know, hey, I have a set of dumbbells at home. Can you help me come up with workouts to do at my house if I have limited equipment? And actually there's an organization called WheelWOD, and they do specific programming for individuals, and you can actually let them know, like, I am whatever impairment you have, you can let them know what it is, and they will give you specific programming for you to do at your home or at your gym, whatever it is. They give you a guideline, like a week's worth of programming. But I think for most people, it would just take like some sort of, it's got to take you doing a little bit of homework. So the internet is incredible. You can look at anything you want at any point of the day. It is absolutely incredible. So if you said, you know, I would like to know how to do a dumbbell press from the seated position, you can YouTube that, and boom, there's a video of it. And I think that that's probably a very underused thing. So if you're at home, that's a great place to start. Or if you go to a facility, obviously asking for a little assistance and trying to find a space where you have room to bring over like dumbbells or kettlebells, and you can have a workout, but like have your own space. So you don't feel like you're tied to that machine. I think those are some great places to start, but definitely reaching out to somebody who is experienced in this field so that you're not wasting your time either. Everyone's time is very precious. And you just want to make sure that you're doing the things you should be doing that is going to help you become more independent. And obviously no one wants to hurt themselves either. So this is a great way to kind of get some help, is definitely reach out to a professional and have them guide you through it. But the YMCA is wonderful, and they have the pool and they have everything there. And I think the YMCA is fantastic. It's just getting someone to help you when you get there.
Thank you, Emily. We have a more of a comment, but from Grace, who's watching. She said this wellness webinar was awesome. I expected something along the lines of simple fitness exercises, but it was the complete package: physical fitness, nutrition, hydration, sleep, mindset, and stress management. Such a wonderful motivator. I am impressed. Thank you, Kaizen and Sportable.
Wow, that made my day. I've been stressing about this for weeks, so that just, I feel good about it.
We still have about 5 more minutes if anyone else has any questions.
I have a question. How many people from the group are from Virginia or from Richmond, or do we have anybody local? I know it's a
Yes,
trick question. Yes.
yes. I'm
Okay,
from Richmond.
wonderful. Okay. Well, we're not too far from you if you want to come try a workout.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Final questions, going once, going twice. All right. Well, and I know Emily was so kind to share all of her contact information, and I'll follow up after the webinar to share all that as a link as well if you have any follow-up questions after this. Emily, honestly, I would have never believed this is the first webinar that you have ever done. You executed it like a total pro, and I agree with Grace. I'm just so impressed at everything that you're able to cover and all the helpful content you're able to share. Anyone who's on the call, Emily mentioned a handout. I had not sent that out prior to the webinar, which is like, so don't think that you missed something. I will send it out after the webinar along with this Zoom recording in case you want to go back and watch later. But thank you for joining us tonight. We'll keep you in the loop now that you've attended one wellness webinar about any future opportunities that arise. We'd love to host these monthly. Right now it's looking at like every other month just based on our speakers and who we're able to find. If you have any ideas for future wellness webinars, please feel free to reach out to me. If you'd like to present, if this is your, if you are in this space of health and wellness for people with disabilities, I'd love to talk to you more about it. But, and thank you all for everyone, excuse me. Thank you to everyone who was able to attend tonight, and big thank you to Emily and all that you were able to share with us tonight. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you all being part of this. It means so much. The more we can talk about this and the more education we can spread, the better off everyone will be.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Thanks, Caitlin.
All right. Emily, that was truly great.
Thank you.
I apologize if I added stress, but honestly, like you could do this for other groups too. I mean, this was just awesome. It really,
well,
truly
you're
was.
sweet.
So,
thank you.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I had a little glass of champagne before this because I was like, I need to calm my nerves. No one needs to know.
Yeah, I would never even know that you were nervous. It was you're a very good communicator and a very strong presenter. So yeah,
wow.
you should go on a webinar tour, especially like I love that you're able to tailor it both to athletes and to coaches and volunteers. And I agree that I think more and more people who work in the fitness space need to know about how to work with adaptive athletes so that there are just more opportunities for this population we care so much about serving.
Absolutely. I'm so honored. Thank you so much for everything and dealing with me the past couple of weeks, trying to get everything situated. So thank you so much. And anytime you guys need this again, I'm feeling good about it. So
okay.
Always improvements though.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'm trying, I think the next one, I recently had a nurse who's a wheelchair user herself. She has a spinal cord injury. we connected on something else, and she's like, I love to educate, I love to present. And I was like, ooh, that could be really cool. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking she might be my next kind of person that I talk to, maybe about a little bit of like health empowerment and like that kind of stuff. But
Absolutely. I
I'll
love
keep
it.
you in the loop for future presentations. And one day we hope to, hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll have a web page on our website that will have all of our wellness webinars just like archived for anybody to go
Very
back
cool.
and learn more about. So
Awesome.
your mother's calling me.
Stop. She is not. You have to answer it. You have to answer it.
Hello, this is Caitlin. Yes. Yes, I was thinking she had mentioned her mother was an OT, and when she was sharing about sleep hygiene and other things, it just reminded me so much of our OT work, and you clearly have had a strong influence on her life. No, I'm actually in Richmond. I'm with Sportable. And funny enough, Emily and I were talking before the presentation. I went to Atlee High School and graduated in 2009. So I'm like in the same community as you all. Yes, I am. Okay. Yes. The name sounds really familiar. I think yeah.